Alright guys, what's going on? Just did a backtesting session that you'll see here shortly. Biggest things I learned from this session in particular was just making sure that I want to be conservative, I want to be disciplined with only trying to find A+ setups, but to that same token, I don't want to be too caught up in finding perfect setups. You'll see throughout this session here that I was finding setups that were working for me, but I wasn't taking that trade because I didn't think it was perfect. So you'll see what I mean. I should be trying to trust my gut a little bit more, be a little bit more confident in my setups. So all right, so I took about 2 weeks off of trading, on a bit of a mini vacation / moving back into school. So I haven't really been at the charts much. It's Sunday before market open, before my first trading day back tomorrow, so I want to get some backtesting in. So yeah, without further ado, weekly here, clearly bullish. This is currently the trading range that we're in on the weekly. So we could definitely choose to reprice and go lower to this fair value gap here, but that's not something I'm trading for, because the order flow is still bullish. So I'm looking realistically, can we come and take this previous week's low, or previous week's high, excuse me, but also have that presence of mind where it's like, okay, that is what I want it to come for because I am bullish. Actually, on both time frames, right? The daily and the weekly, I'm bullish. We didn't disrespect order flow ever here. But just have that in mind as I am bullish. Have that in mind that we could choose to reprice lower. Now, I would be more willing to take a sell if we break structure on the daily. Then I might target that fair value gap on the weekly. But until then, I'm bullish. Now this is the fair value gap. I just want to see if we were to break structure, how much room we have to go. All right. Okay. So bullish. What do we got news-wise? Retail sales. Okay, nothing crazy. What about the rest of the week? FOMC minutes. Right. I thought this was going to be a crazy day. It's really not. Okay. So not really the craziest week for news. Now we're only looking for A+ setups here, so that means typically 2 trades a week. Let me just check. I don't know. Did I trade already this week on Monday or no? 11:15. I did. Okay. So just be aware that we already traded this week. Second trading day of the week, Tuesday. Let's see if it gives us anything. So on the 1 hour, we are currently trading inside of an hourly fair value gap. However, it has obviously been used multiple times. I like the smooth highs above here, but there are smooth lows as well. So it's also a 4-hour fair value gap as well. Because we're bullish on the higher time frames, let me see the 15-minute. So we're getting that sweep now. I wouldn't mind targeting this. But I have to wait for distribution. So this is the dealing range right here. interesting candle. All right. So we've already repriced the dealing range. That's one, that's two. That's what I'm looking for. Now, gotta be a little bit more cautious because it's entry. I still like the entry, but we've repriced into the dealing range disc or premium. So this is take profit 1, take profit 2. This line there. But it follows my trading plan. There's a sweep on liquidity. I am bullish on the higher time frame, so I'm following my higher time frame bias here. Inside of a 4-hour fair value gap, a 1-hour fair value gap, and a 15-minute fair value gap. So we have our point of interest, and also we've distributed higher, which is good to see. Right, it shows intent. Wait, let's see. Did we? No, it just didn't hit it. Fair enough. Okay. That's gonna happen. That will happen. I would have looked for an inverse fair value gap, but there's nothing, so fair enough. Just missed us by a hair there, getting us in. But that would have been a clean trade. All right. Go to next session and see. Obviously still bullish on the higher time frames. Distribution leg on the 1 hour. I like this if you can keep those equal highs. Tap in here for a sweep. And go lower from there. Or go higher from there, excuse me. Continuing to hold that. That's crazy. Okay, that's fine. All right. Next day open. Bullish still on the higher time frames. That weekly objective is our next, point of interest for the higher time frame. Previous weekly high. So we distributed higher, then we started to accumulate relatively equal highs above. Already tapped into that fair value gap that it left behind on the 4 hour and the 1 hour. So it might just go here. See, I wouldn't know what I'd want here. I mean, I know what I want. I want us to come and sweep this and then go higher. I don't think I'm going to get that, though. I don't think I'm going to get that. I mean, I could come and target this and sell, but that's a high risk sell because it's against my higher time frame bias. Okay, so we're sweeping again. We're tapping into the 1 hour slash 4 hour. Yeah, fair value gap again. Currently was the trading range. Here is the last sweep on liquidity. On the 1 hour, we might see some difference though, yeah. So focusing more on the 1 hour. There's that range. Can we get not the cleanest? I don't love it. It's just ugly, isn't it? It's just ugly. Okay, but the 5 minute though does present a nice, but I don't think the risk reward is going to be good enough. It's just not going to be good enough. But it presents a nice inverse fair value gap, but I can't enter off that because risk reward is not good enough. Okay. So as you can see, we would have gotten triggered there, but the risk reward was not good enough. Could I have put my stop under here and made it underneath the fair value gap low? I could have been a little bit more aggressive with my stop, I guess. But I'm looking for those A+ setups, and I like to be conservative with my stop loss. So if I can't be conservative with my stop loss, it means it's probably not an A+ setup. But this was a pretty clean play there. Ooh, look at that, huh? That was our weekly objective. Just getting tapped there. All right. So that weekly objective was hit now. I think I'd probably leave this be for the afternoon session because it hit my weekly objective. At this point, I like to see what price wants to do next. So rather than rush into anything. So it continued higher to the weekly objective once more with some follow through there, but that's a very ugly price action because it happened overnight. We left some relative equal lows behind as well. Something to just take note of inside of our bullish bias here. I mean, the bias hasn't changed on a higher time frame. We are still bullish. The next objective would be here for the all-time high, I believe. Yeah. So that would be the next objective. And daily is still bullish as well, but just have that in the back of our minds that the way we just came up, it looks a little bit cleaner in the 4 hour. You see we got a nice sweep inside of this 4 hour fair value gap and continued higher from there. Took out previous weekly high, these relative equal highs here on the 4 hour, and now this would be our next objective, the all-time high. But as you can see on the 1 hour, there's nothing as far as POIs go, right? If this candle closes this way, we have a 4 hour fair value gap, but on the 1 hour, we have nothing. kind of just let price develop here. This week's given some decent opportunities. 15 minutes just ranging, which is nice to see before market open. Problem is, again, we just don't have that higher time frame POI. I mean, you can argue, well, you have this 1 hour fair value gap here, and we do, but it's just, I don't love the way, again, we ran up here. This concerns me. Ugly, 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 choppy, choppy. Relative equal lows. Even though we got this sweep, it's still closed above, so relative equal lows. This would be a target for an intraday trade, right? I'm not targeting the all-time high today. Like, we could hit it. Like, could I leave a runner for it? I guess possible we hit it, but I like more conservative objectives, you know, ones that make sense within a day. So again, we are ranging. If we get a sweep like that, then I'm interested potentially in the trade. Again, that was the 1 hour fair value gap. So did we tap into it? I believe we did. Oh, it's very close. Wait. I like to be precise here. The low 1638075. They're exactly the same. Okay, so it technically didn't tap into it yet. Let's see what we do. So now we tapped into it. What's the current range? Like, sweep. I mean, the current range is this. Realistically, on the 4 hour at least, is this. This is the dealing range. You can argue that. Go with this whole thing here, being the dealing range. Technically, there was a bigger structure here. This isn't the cleanest though. Like, I wouldn't be too enthused to take this inverse fair value gap. But it's possible that's what we end up using. We're not leaving a fair value gap. Well, here we did, but we didn't break structure on the 2 minute. That's what we use. Okay. So we're seeing these opportunities that are available to us. So we're getting a lot of moves that are playing out in our direction that we're wanting to see. I'm just very, very picky as far as A+ setups are concerned. I am willing to trade inverse fair value gaps, but I like to see it in, what's the word? I'd like to see it combined with a fair value gap. So like, if we could have left a fair value gap behind here, that's a trade I take 10 out of 10 times. This is something that, you know, looking back, maybe I should have taken, but I try to be very picky with my setups. Was this A+? It was pretty damn near. I'd give it an A. Not an A+, but it's something where maybe be a little less picky. But that, again, trade played out nicely there. So next day, I click next day on the 1 minute time frame. It's gotta give it a second. Here we go. All right. So we have breached the all-time high and just remaining bullish. So it's good to see our bias was correct on the week. Now this, you get into that stage of now I can potentially inverse. We're on all-time highs. If there's no liquidity left above and no POI to come for, I'll look for an inverse setup. So this is when I can trade against my bias. So we'll see. Right, obviously bullish on the higher time frames. 4 hour trading inside of a fair value gap. So there is liquidity above that we can come for. Trading inside of a 4 hour fair value gap, a 1 hour fair value gap. The trading range, what's the trading range right now? Is it really all the way down to here? Yeah, I would say this is the current trading range. So we're obviously in a premium. 15 minute, what's it look like? All right. So I need to see a sweep of sell side. I don't want to take a sell here because there is liquidity to the upside and we're bullish. So if there was no liquidity to the upside, nope, then I'd look into an inverse trade. Technically that could be enough of a sweep for us to go higher, but for me it's not enough. So okay. I don't really know how to feel about this because if we sweep lower, we might disrespect the fair value gap, which I need for a point of interest to be respected. This is the dealing range. Potential nice entry here. To come for this / this. The reason I'm not in love with it, the only reason I'm not going to take this on like an actual trade, clicking this, place order, is because I don't like the sweep here. Could it be enough of a sweep? Absolutely. You go to the 5 minute, you could see we definitely swept some liquidity, right? But I don't like how we left an equal low here. And we didn't come for this, which is fine, but again, it's just not an A+ setup because for that reason. So it ended up respecting this. This wouldn't have been enough in my opinion. We're accounting for that. Risk to reward would have been just about a 1. I try to avoid that. But solid. Okay. Next week, let's see. All right. Clearly still bullish. We're at all-time high, so we don't really have much of an objective. We've already taken the previous weekly high, that was this. So now we really don't have any objectives. We could look for inverse trades here. Let's see. If it took out all the liquidity to the upside, including the London sessions high, then okay. So we're literally just taking out everything. Is there a POI that we would be interested in coming down towards, like this liquidity void maybe? That gets taken. That's why we wait for 9:30. But let's see. And again, like going against the bias here because we're at all-time highs. So it could just continue higher, which it's doing right now. So we just gotta be careful. All right, I'm like kind of about the inverse trade now, so we'll leave it be. It's gone too high for me to really want it, but we do end up getting it. I don't know, like the thing about it is, like, where's the sweep anymore? You know, had we come up here and then gone lower, fine, but this is an egregious sweep. Like I don't even know if you can really call that a sweep anymore. Like, so that's why I didn't really like it. Was there an entry? The only entry that might have worked would have been like here. Right there. Maybe above that high there. And again, the target was this. But approaching Thanksgiving here, so probably stay off the charts today and tomorrow. Let me see what the rest of the week holds. Nothing crazy, it's just Thanksgiving. Alright. And I'm not going to trade today, I'm not going to trade there. Honestly, probably the rest of the week you just take off. Let's see what we got the day after Thanksgiving. setting us up for a sell-off here. It would be against my bias though, so. I really don't mind this for a sell though, even though I know my bias is bullish on the daily and the weekly. I really don't mind this for a sell. Trading up into a tiny little fair value gap there, creating equal lows. We are in a premium on the weekly. Again, trading inside of fair value gap. Alright. This might be a sell I entertain here. Too juicy. Too juicy. Alright, let's see what that looks like on a higher time frame. Sweeping nicely. Do I love how we left that? No. Because we weren't able to tap into the fair value gap there, which kind of stinks. But we're still respecting a 1 hour fair value gap. Do I love this fair value gap that we left here? It's alright, you know? It's alright. But here's my thing. I want this to be a perfect setup because I'm inversing my bias. I'm trading against my bias here, so I really need this to be a perfect setup. And for that to be the case, I would have needed this high to get taken. Us trade into the 4 hour fair value gap, and maybe give me a little bit more of a, you know, like this fair value gap doesn't feel strong to me. But I overthink things, clearly. Because it hits our objective. Fuck. Trading's a tough game, man. It's a tough game. You know, there's a fine balance between over trading and being too disciplined, right? I truly believe that, right? You've seen it through this backtesting session where legitimately, like, this is like maybe the fourth or fifth trade where I just didn't take it because I didn't feel like it was perfect. I think I have to be a little bit more. I have to lessen my definition of perfect when it comes to finding setups. Trust my gut a little bit more than I do. I mean, again, this is literally zero drawdown trade. A zero drawdown trade that we could have entered and made almost a 1-3. You know, like, I have to, and by the way, this shit is probably going to continue down further. Like, I'm thinking probably to this low, but I wanted to be a little bit more conservative, which it does. So just be a little bit more open-minded with the trades that I'm finding. You know, if I lose, I lose. It's part of the game. There's a little bit of that where I'm too afraid to lose. So I won't place a trade unless I think it's perfect. But be okay with losing. Trust my gut a little bit more is what I need to take away from this backtesting session so far. Alright, next day. Starting to accumulate more on the weekly here. Or on the daily, excuse me. So, could see a sweep down into here and then go higher from there. Previous weekly high is an objective because we're still bullish. But we have to keep in mind on the daily, we're just consolidating. Sideways price action don't really have much of a bias in the daily right now. If anything, I'm bearish on the daily because equal lows only broke structure. We disrespected order flow. So if anything, on the daily I'm bearish. On the weekly I'm still bullish. So we have contradicting biases now that we have to be careful of. I think in the short term we could be bearish. Take out this low here. Again, tap into the either liquidity void or the fair value gap, and then go higher. But contradicting biases is never fun. Makes the trading conditions tougher. You'd like to see your weekly and your daily align, which it has been doing, but now it is not. So. To do today, if I'm being completely honest with you. It could, in my opinion, the next draw on liquidity is this fair value gap here on the 4 hour. And then after that, we could see us trade lower to these. Oh, they were easier to spot on the 4 hour. Equal lows here. That could be what we're aiming for. So, bullish up until that draw there. We don't get a sweep or anything, so. Wait, I'm still looking for something. So that was the draw. See, we ended up going into there, but there was no setup for me to buy up to there, but that was the draw. And now, in my opinion, I could be looking for some sells. The daily, again, is still bearish because we broke structure. Relative equal lows. Weekly is bullish, so we got to be careful of that. But we have a nice sweep here into that 4 hour fair value gap. Sweep there, so we could go lower from here. Let's see. Dealing range. Not the best distribution lower. That's a bit better. I don't know what my objective would be to target. I think that's a decent enough objective though. So we have everything we need. We have a sweep on liquidity. We have distribution lower. We have trading into a higher time frame POI that we're finding our setup inside of. The only thing we don't have, and it's pretty fucking important, is the daily bias and the weekly bias are out of, they're opposite of each other right now, so my bias becomes a little bit harder to find. But the next draw on liquidity would make sense to be here and here, in my opinion. Should I account for this? Potentially. I think I do. Okay. So this is a nice place to either, you gotta manage a trade, right? Do we take partials here, or do we set stop to break even? It's a 1 to 1.74 risk reward, so it's kind of in that gray area where I'm not sure if I want to take profits or I want to put the stop loss to break even. So I'm going to look at this for a second. Do I see a reason for us to go higher from where we are now? Like, should it? I don't think so. But I like to give the trade breathing room, so here's what I'll do. Boom. Alright. Let the rest of it play out. See what we do. Go to the 5 minutes, so it's just easier. Okay. So, break even trade, because we took 50% of the trade off at that mark there. And it came back to our stop loss. So, break even trade. Still ranging on the daily, weekly, still bullish. We have a disrespected order flow. We are trading within this daily fair value gap. It's hard to gain I can't gain a bias from the daily, which makes trading a lot more difficult. I just can't gain a bias from it. I mean, it's easy for me to say bullish because we're bullish on the weekly, but you know, the daily time frame is pretty fucking important when it comes to forming a bias, and right now I can't form one. I like these relative equal highs here, trading within a 4-hour fair value gap that we are respecting. So I could see the next draw be this. However, we're ranging, so we could just go down. It makes it tougher. That's all I'm saying. So, but we are within that 4-hour fair value gap. Yeah, I'm not in love with this at all, actually. If anything, I want sells when I look at the 15-minute. Look at that. I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole until we, at bare minimum, sweep. Okay, so we came for my objective first, that's fine. But I'm not getting in when there's fucking, look at those lows. So, now though, this might be a good place to sell from. I like this actually. After leaving those lows, yeah, I could see us selling off a bit from here. But again, we're ranging. It's ugly, ugly, ugly. But that's too clean, right, to not come for? I'm not in love with this inverse fair value gap. I'm gonna give it more time. Gotta account for that. I mean, these lows have to get taken, right? Fair enough. Trading inside a daily range, not easy, not easy. I can't see these lows remaining here though. It's like, you gotta come for them eventually, so I'm willing to re-enter if we get distribution like we just did. It's just not gonna give us an entry now though. That's brutal. Okay. No. Give me entry. Fuck. This is what it is. It's not being kind to us right now. My first. Could I have been more conservative? Less aggressive with my initial trade? Have it at least above this high. Well, actually, where did I have it? I had it above that high, right? Or no, I had it here. Just have it above this high here. And then we're good. But, alright. Look at that price action on the daily, it's so gross. Okay, we're also approaching December as well. Midway through December is when I would back off trading a little bit. You know, conditions become a little bit more choppy. Kind of what we're seeing now. So still bullish on weekly, daily, still ranging. Don't really have a direction. 4 hour. I have 4 hours ranging too, man. There's no. This is just the trading conditions are not very good right now. Yeah, they're just not very good right now. I don't know. Just gonna let this play. I won't. Could go one of two ways, you know. Okay. At least we're breaking out of the range right now. That's nice. You know, at least we didn't decide we're just gonna chop around the rest of the day. So that's good. day. So we've broken out of the range. So then the objective is this at this point. That's the objective that I'm aiming for. So we're bearish now for the time being until we tap into here. Question is, do we tap into here before I get an entry? Probably, because I don't see a setup really forming yet. And yay. Beautiful. Okay, if we can get, I like this. Give me distribution now. We target that low. Or that fair value gap. Nice. Haven't broken structure yet though. Now we have. Hang on. This could be an entry too. I don't know. Okay, that's an entry too. It's not as good of one, but it's still an entry, so hang on. Is this the end of that candle? Okay. Boom. Beautiful. 101.2. We'll take it. Wish I was able to get a better entry off of it, but it's fine. Alright, I think I'm gonna pack it up here. And yeah. Pretty successful backtesting session, right? Biggest thing I learned was just from this session itself is be a little bit less picky, trust my gut a little bit more with the trades that I'm entering. But yeah.